Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us and being with us in this second part of We Love to Sing Opera. Today we'll be talking about some tips to do it in the best way, to keep our instrument in a healthy way. We'll talk about our experiences sharing the music through our emotions. So, let's get started.
So, if you ask me what is my quest, what would I answer if I was asked what is my quest? I think my answer could be something like to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause. To be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will I peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to
Thank you.
reach the unreachable stars. I hope you know that piece, and I think there is no better way to open today's program than this eternal quest that the man of La Mancha had, and I believe that in many senses singers do the same, do uh, somehow also fighting, the windmills. But we are about to talk in more detail about that. Before we jump into the content, and sorry if you can see in the second camera only the top of my head, maybe I should turn it off so that it doesn't bother you a lot. Before we jump into the content, I wanted to share with you that I would like, if you don't mind, that today's program is dedicated to soprano Violeta Davalos, who left us. She deceased a year ago, February 2021. One of the greatest Mexican sopranos. We've had an excellent person as well, and well, this program is dedicated to her. Now, there are a couple of announcements also before we jump into the content. Um, you can see on the bottom right that we have some additional contact data. I have good news for everyone, and maybe you are if you're listening to us We're already this is being transmitted also to a podcast. A few days later of after this YouTube transmission, we are sending the feed to the podcast. By now, you can already find it in Amazon Prime, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, and a couple of them that you can easily find in Google. So hope some of you will find us there. And I also wanted to let you know that maybe some of the musical pieces may be eliminated for copyright issues. So I just wanted to let you know, because the copyright in the internet is not who owns the rights, but who has the lawyers to claim for it. Despite whether they are right about having those copyright, they say they like to sue people. So if at some point we receive any of those faults, maybe some pieces of the program will be cut or muted, just to let you know. So if you are listening to us, if people from Norway that heard us last week still hear us, thank you very much for having listened to the podcast, as well to the people in North America who listen to us. Thank you very much. If you'd like to follow up in Instagram, the account is there. If you would like to take a look at a webpage where we also have announced this opera cycle, it's in there. And and the last one, you can also pay attention to that, but I will not talk about that one any longer. Something else that I wanted to share with you, as Katia already said, today we are sharing most the main content today has to do with what is it needed for us to start singing. I would like to start showing you. I am putting on the screen a very simple graph, and we are for this fact recalling something that Katia shared with us last week. She
Well,
said
we
that we are
have
singing
to
with our
take care
voice,
of
but we are actually
every single piece
singing
of
with our
ourselves
whole
as
body.
singers.
And I
Like you
also
just
added
put it,
that our psychic
it's
life
not my
is also
throat
part of the
what
whole instrument
makes
that we call
the
our voice.
sound.
What would you
It
like
is,
to
but
add,
it
Katia,
isn't.
around
You know,
this one?
it is my mind, my memories, my feelings, my state of mind, if I'm concentrated or not. If maybe I have a little disease, I don't know, in my knee, maybe I can be like standing right, and it might affect my attention, but also my breathing. So we are all connected. We are made of little pieces, and all of them are important.
I think that one is used to listening to a given singer, and when he is in good conditions, we say he's unwell, and very likely he or she did. But the thing is that he achieved that level of a good performance because his voice is physically well, his body is well, and psychic. I mean, when you are very sad, when you're coming from a very depressive times or days in your life, it's very hard for things go through. So maybe next time, and we will have a separate program for that. Um, we will discuss later what happens when we say that a singer fails. When we usually go jump into their throat to say, oh, that singer, he broke the note. How is it possible that his voice was not of good quality, and a good number of etc. But I would like to point out the first thing here, that he's actually singing with his voice, his body, and his psychic life. Recommendation here is that if you are willing to sing, take care of the whole. And there is a second item there that I would also like to point out, because this instrument is actually nothing unless you have a compass. Because that compass, which is your compass, will tell you what is it that you actually need, or what is it actually that you are looking for in the singing. Let me share with you an anecdote. It is a good number of years when I visited Barton, a friend of mine. He was having a presentation the very next day, and we went downtown, the city where he lives. We went downtown for buying something, and I remember that we arrived to the parking lot, and as we descended or got out of the car, he said, we heard that one man, for people who are not from Mexico, in Mexico there's people who make money or who earn a living by washing cars on the street or wherever possible. So this guy was washing cars at the parking lot, and he said, and I heard that guy singing, and my friend said, "Hey, we found a colleague." But by then, I was very proud of having a tenor voice, and I looked at him telling, "No way that guy can be called our colleague." And this friend, the baritone, told me, "A, a singer is anyone who sings. So don't you dare to look at him like that because he's actually singing. He's singing in his circumstances. He has to earn a life by, washing those cars. He's maybe out of his home the whole day. He may have a very hard life. So the best he can do is maybe sing at that time that we are listening." So I remember that his comments gave me a lesson of being more humble, because I told myself, yeah, he's absolutely right. I just think of singers when they are in a certain theater, uh, presenting or performing, but in fact, a singer is anyone who sings. And a second anecdote, if you allow me, because it has to do with the compass that we are sharing on the screen, has to do with, and will guide our whole conversation today, has to do with what is it that you want to do with that singing. And the anecdote is that he told me he was getting ready for the presentation day, and he told me, I am really expecting to be given lots of applause. And I look at him, and I asked him why. He
And
told me, because that's the reason I'm singing. I am singing because I want to be recognized, because I want that applause. That applause is what feeds me. He looked at me and said, "Don't you?" And I told him I really had never thought of singing as well, I see it as a consequence, but I don't see it as a purpose. But it doesn't mean that I am right or that he is right. It just means that each of us has a different compass. So if your compass, as we are about to discuss, is to have formal presentations, maybe singing religious music, maybe you're part of a choir singing religious music, but maybe you are much more into zarzuela, or maybe you are much more into musicals. So everything is right. We will discuss it a little later, but it has to do with your
I
compass.
would like you to
And
introduce
because
it,
we're
please.
getting too serious, and we don't want to get that serious, right? We are here to have fun today. I know that Katia has prepared for us a very nice piece of music. Would you like me to introduce it, or we just listen to you and discover which one is it? I really don't know how to say it, but this is one of the pieces that I enjoy the most. This puts me in such a very good mood. The music, the vocal line is so light, so playful. The whole. I don't want to hum it. There is a message that tells that there is some noise in the background. I am uh, I am listening to it now. The noise was not there. Hopefully, it will be resolved, because we are getting, or I am looking at the streaming health, and YouTube is
Most
reporting
probably
that
my
the
noise
health
will
of the
cover
stream
that
is
one.
good. So hopefully, we are getting better. But maybe we should continue with the song, with the piece of music that I was telling you that Katia is about to sing, and hopefully the noise in the background will be fixed soon.
Okay. No, no, no. Okay, so let me do my work and then we'll talk about it.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right? Tornami a vagheggiare
You go ahead. I was about to hum it, but if I hum it, I will. This will be a spoiler because if I do, tan, 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 so
caro mio bene, caro,
okay.
tornami a vagheggiar, tornami a vagheggiar. Solo volamar, solo volamar, quest'anima fede, caro mio bene, solo volamar, quest'anima fede, caro mio bene. Caro mio bene.
I could be listening to that extraordinary piece called Tornami a Vagheggiar
I love this piece
the
of
whole day
music.
long. I
It's
really,
one
really love that.
of
My voice is
the first
so
music
inadequate
pieces
for
that I
that,
start to study.
even
I didn't
to even hum
sing
it.
it
But that's one of
in the
the
meaning of the
most
word
adorable pieces of music
to
that I know.
sing
I'm
it
not sure
with
if you feel
the
like that as well.
complete technical sense. But I heard this piece of music in the voice of Joan Sutherland, and my first idea was I have to do that someday. I don't know when I will be able to do this, but I want to sing this piece of music. And when I finally started to sing it a little better, I felt completely realized.
Yeah. Well, I don't recall when I heard it the first time, but I remember that I did fell in love for this piece of music. And if you don't mind, let's continue because now we're about now that we have shared that you don't sing only with your voice, but with your body and with your whole psychic life, and the compass that guides you on what you actually want to do with the instrument that you have. Because maybe at this point we need to mention that everybody has a unique instrument. One of the most common errors is that you listen to a given singer and you say, hey, I want the notes of Natalie Dessep, and I want the strength of Gena Dimitrova, and I want the color of Renata Scotto. All the three in my voice, that is not going to happen. So I think the very first step also is to accept what you were given by life. Maybe it
Yes,
is
I
an
remember
instrument that is
that
light in
once
color,
upon a
maybe it is
time
very
I was
warm,
in my
maybe it has a
singing
lot of
lesson
power, whatever it
and
does.
another
I would
student
suggest
arrived
you simply
and
accept it.
she
Accept what you can
she
do,
heard me for the first
work
time.
hard
I
to
can't
do the best
remember
that you
what
can do,
was I singing in that
but
very moment,
understand your
but it
limitations.
was a piece of music, and I think she liked my voice because she asked my teacher, "Oh my God, and will I be able to sing like her someday?" And my teacher said, "No, you are gonna sing as you sing because she owns a voice and you have your own one." So it's a complicated part of being singer. It's exactly what you just mentioned a few minutes ago, to accept what you were given of. Maybe we want some. Well, I have to say that in our first conversations, I always told you I want to be a baritone, but that's not gonna happen. There's no way. Yes, I'm. Well, I'm like a soprano, as you can listen, a very high one. But in this very point, for me, it's not just about to love your sound. You have to love your sound. You have to love your voice. Finally, it's part of you. But you have to love what you can do with it, what you can say with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first thing that I wanted that we would like to share with you, because it is a very common question, is whether, if you have already decided that you want to study singing, whether it is better to study with a private professor or at a music school. Because there are people who say that to sing, to actually do professional singing, you really need to study at a musical school or conservatorios. Or there's other people who say, no, you have to with professor who was a very famous singer 10, 15 years ago, and who now is taking students, because since he has the chance of performing at great theaters, he's going to make you will be magically turned into a good singer. I know there are voices in favor of one or the other options. Personally, what I would like to say is that none of them can be taken for granted. Of course, either the music school or the professor will do their best to bring your voice, but unless you put some effort on your side, none of them is going to be the magic. None of them is magic. And also you need to take into account that all schools, all teachers, all professors have their own limitations. You happen, and I recall the case of a young man that I met last year, that he told me that his professor was a bass, a famous Mexican bass. But and since this guy approached to me was a tenor, he said that he felt this bass couldn't really understand how to sing the high notes. I mean, I was not there, so I cannot testify whether the bass knew how to do it. But he said that it was impossible for him to find the right placement of his voice because the professor himself wasn't even sure on how to teach how to do that, because he himself could not do it that way. So I think that as soon as we understand that everybody has limitations, maybe you are in a music school, but the teacher that is your vocal lead happens to have his own or her own limitations. So I don't need to
Totally, I
blame on
agree
them
with you.
because I want to do the opposite.
We
Do
have to
the
understand
best,
that
most of the learning that you
there
get from
are
them,
kind of
but
voices,
the other
there are
99%
techniques,
is on you.
but
Not on the school, not on the
each
professor. What do you
each
think, Katya? Would
voice
you agree?
has different needs and different skills, and there are as many techniques as singer exists. So you have to take the best from this teacher, the best from that, and make it of your own, and be as intelligent as possible to translate that knowledge to your own body, to your own instrument. It's not as easy because some students sometimes ask me like, but I want to do this and that and then this, but explain quickly. Excuse me, dear, but it doesn't work like this. My body understood that information in a certain way. I'll try to explain you, but you will have to translate my knowledge to your voice, to your body, to your age, to your experience. So you can't get married with one of your teachers in the sense that I only study here, and what my teacher says is the law, and I will take it, and I will never investigate, and I will never learn somewhere else. No, you can't. Well, uh, one of my recommendations would be that you try to build a technique as solid as possible, but try to listen some other voices, some other teachers, some other ways to explain the same idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I can do nothing but agree. And also, something that people are interested in, or maybe run away from singing, at least from a certain given professional singing, is that they have to learn languages. I remember that when I approached my singing teacher and I told her that I was planning on learning, I already spoke English, and I told her that I was planning on learning French, the language. And she told me, and when are you starting Italian? And I said, I really had never even thought about it. So she yelled at me because she used to yell a lot, and so she yelled at me for not having considered that I needed
Yeah, that's right.
to
Well,
broaden my perspective of
there's
languages.
something
In your case,
interesting in
I
my
recall
case.
that you shared
When I
with
was
us when we recorded
about
another
four
video,
years
the
old,
making of video. You were sharing
three,
us
four
that for
years
you,
old,
for instance, German
I
is natural
created my
because
own
most of the
language
pieces of your repertory is in German.
because I love languages. And I feel that skill is part of me. I don't have like troubles learning new languages. But yes, if you have to sing with more choices, you have to learn, yes, Italian, because it is where opera was created, of course. Uh, you you have to learn French. That's right, because there are lots of beautiful music in that language. German, yeah, I don't have a problem with German, but well, those are the languages that we learn in university. When you go for singer, you have your schedule, and it's programmed to learn Italian, well, English, Italian, French, and German. But we also have this class, phonetics. So I sang in, oh yes, I speak English, but I forgot Noruego, Norwegian. Well, I already sang in Norwegian, and I have sang in Russian too. I don't speak the languages. I would like to, but with phonetics
Norwegian?
knowledge, I was able
Norwegian, yeah.
to read the AFI code and settle them.
Oh. What about if we share also with them to wrap this idea of learning and studying that singers are long life learners. You may think I will go and study with professor for 1 or 2 years or maybe 3 at the most, but we have to tell that no, a singer is from minute one and maybe till the last minute to die,
The rest
you
of
will
your
always have
singing
something
life.
to learn, a new role,
That's right.
a new
Yes,
a new score,
I remember that when I
maybe a new
was
language.
about
There is
to get
you,
into
you
the
also learn from the
university,
style
I
of other
heard
singers. So
one of the
you better get
professors
used to the idea that you will
saying
continue learning
to
for
all
many times to
the
come.
students, if you really want to be a musician, you must be prepared to study, to practice about around 8 hours per day. If you're not ready for doing this, you can take it as a hobby and have lessons somewhere else. This is not your place. And I agree. You have to love it because it's a lifestyle. It's not just a profession. It's not like working in an office and you check in at 8 a.m. and you leave at 2 o'clock. You are a musician all day long, all your life long.
And yeah, absolutely. And maybe we are already too serious. So why don't we cheer this a little up with some music? And for that purpose, let me share you that I remember that if you're listening to the podcast, maybe the following part might be deleted or muted. I have already checked that the accompaniments today are not copyright violations, so I am pretty sure they are not. But as I was telling you, there's many smart people in the internet because they make money out of that. So we will listen to a very beautiful song. You will notice in the camera that I will be moving a lot. It is not that I am nervous, but it is because I really like the accompaniment on the piano. So I hope you really enjoy it too. And I think that for people who have been part of Spain in their history will pretty much relate to this music. So I hope you will enjoy. And at some point, if you know the piece, I would like to hear back from you that you actually accompanied me. And this time, and now I'm ready. Now we are playing actually from the beginning.
Patio que huele a noviazgo, a coplas y a rosas y a flores de azar. La noche escapa española que con su negrura te supo embosar. Patio que huele a noviazgo, a coplas y a rosas y a flores de azar. La noche escapa española que con su negrura te supo embosar. Como un clavel que revienta tu boca sangrienta, un beso me dio. Y en ese beso quedaron la noche, las coplas, las rosas y yo. Tras de las rejas de encajes los gestos y flores pudieron oír lo que en un mago suspiro del alma te quiso decir. Repicar de castañuelas que el patio gitano de fiesta llenó. Beso que ha sido el más mío, aquel que tu boca temblando me dio. Algo que fue más que un beso. algo que es más que besar. Beso que dejó en mi vida guitarras y coplas y flores de azar. Patio que huele a noviazgo, a coplas y a rosas y a flores de azar. La noche escapa española que con su negrura te supo embosar. Patio que huele a noviazgo, a coplas y a rosas y a flores de azar. La noche escapa española que con su negrura te supo embosar. Como un clavel que revienta tu boca sangrienta, un beso me dio. Y en ese beso quedaron la noche, las coplas, las rosas y yo. Tras de las rejas de encajes, los gestos y flores pudieron oír lo que en un bajo suspiro, suspiro del alma le quiso decir. Repicas de castañuelas que el patio gitano de fiesta llenó. Beso que ha sido el más mío, aquel que tu boca temblando me dio. Algo que fue más que un beso, algo que es más que besar. Beso que dejó en mi vida guitarras y coplas y flores de azar.
Hope that you enjoy the song because I do enjoy it. Okay, turning off the other camera.
Oh
We
God.
continue sharing our
Yes.
content.
Well,
Now, talking a little
like I
about
said,
the evolution of
when
the
we were
voice, the
starting
discipline, and the
our
lifestyle.
transmission,
You were telling us
you
that
have to take
you
care of
started with one voice, but
every
how has it
piece
evolved?
of your life. You have to be as much as possible emotionally healthy. Um, you have to take care of your voice, of course. There are some myths about not drinking cold drinks, for example, and not eating like spicy food because they can damage your instrument, your throat. There are some people, some persons that cannot drink milk and cannot drink milk before singing. But I think that there are not universal laws. Everybody is different, and we react in different ways to the same things. So, for example, I can drink milk. I don't like it, but I can. I drink soy milk, but that's just because I want to, not because I need to. But there are like tips that fit to all of us, like drinking water, drinking enough water. That's important, yes. To sleep right, it is important too. And you have to pay attention when you don't sing. Many things happen to your voice by the day in different moments, and you don't notice it. But when you start to sing, it's like, oh, it's a little cold. Oh my God, it's too hot. You know. And when you start to sing, you you are conscious of all those little details that before singing you didn't know that it exists. But you have to take care those details that you will be noticing and try to avoid, and always look, go for your own voice, go for your own sound. Don't try to imitate somebody else just because you admire. And Ramon Vargas sings beautifully, I want to sing like him and I will force my voice. No, don't do that ever in your life.
And also maybe we need to mention that if, for a singer, even if he's not singing, I mean having a presentation, he has to work on his voice, if not every day, at least 4 or maybe 5 times a week, because otherwise you're going to have a problem. Many people don't, maybe many people think, no, he's going to warm up just 1 day before the presentation, but that can never be true. You need to make sure
Yeah.
that you have, at some time during your day, you have 5, 10, 15, half an hour to work on your voice, to work on a given piece, to run scales, to do 1,000 things, because you have to be very disciplined if you want to your voice to thank you for that. And maybe as we are again getting too serious, maybe it is time to listen to another piece of music. And I know that you have again a very nice piece of music that you would like to share.
I heard
Why
this
don't you introduce it? Because I
music
know it is not that well known as.
by
Well,
Franz
Torna
Leal,
Miragallar, maybe it's not that well known
Brasquita.
either.
I heard this piece
But
of
this
music
second piece I know is
some
less
years
known than Tornami.
ago
So
with
why don't you
one,
tell us a couple of words around this
well,
piece, and then we
a
can have the
beloved
pleasure of
and
listening you
admired
singing.
friend. She's a soprano too, and Ethel Trujillo. I heard this song and I thought, oh my God, that's something that you will be listening a lot of times from my mouth. Oh my God, I have to do that. But I fell in love with this piece of music because it sounds delicate. The text is spicy, but elegant. And well, it was a pleasure to work on this piece of music, and I really hope you all of you enjoy it as much as I will. Esta noche ven a mí, todo listo para ti. Todo lo hallarás, tibieza y paz. El champán embriagador y del fuego el resplandor te darán calor y tierno amor. Mi tesoro, ven a mí. Si mi amor te ruega, Yeah, it is interesting. Sorry, uh, the first piece of
Thank you.
music that
Thank
I
you very much
choose,
for helping us
Tornami a
relaxing.
Vaguear,
I think that's one of the pieces that
it's a lady asking to
somehow
be
the
loved.
complete melody puts you in a mood of
And in this
everything is
case,
going to be
it's like
fine, right?
similar. I'm expecting for you, calm, it's all prepared to receive you. Love me, please.
Yeah, I think if people who have heard this piece of music for the first time maybe will look for or having it into their playlists. Hopefully that happens. But let's move on with the content because now we need to talk about the role of emotional intelligence, what I called friends and foes, and rehearse, 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 which means practice, practice, practice as much as you can. And I would like to point out to something. All artists, in a way, are very fragile in the sense that all artists are in very deep contact with their emotions. So the people who are there to support will always be close to the heart of those artists, to those singers. But also, singers can be easily hurt by the enemies that can be counted by thousands, because it is very human to criticize, but it is moreover to try to destroy uh, the self-confidence of a singer by telling him you sound like, and then you use a bad word. You have people who even try to sabotage you, telling things at your back, and there are many negative emotions and things that are around, and the singer needs to be so strong to have this very well developed emotional intelligence so that he can make the most of the friends that are supporting, understand that people against of him will always be there, but despite all those obstacles,
Well, we have to
the singer
understand
needs
that
to move
in
on, move
Mexico we
ahead
say,
with
yo
whatever
no
his
soy
success
monedita
or
de
his
oro
fame
para
is
caerles bien a
telling
todos.
him.
We are not a
Um,
golden coin
what
to
what
be
would you like to
accepted
add in
or
this
loved or
regards of
asked
people
for
who are
everyone.
there to support, but
You
maybe of
have
those who are there
to
just to
love your
criticize and
voice,
block?
to be proud of how much you're working on it. You have to be proud of your effort. You have to be proud of your results. You have to compare yourself with the rest, but in a good way. You can be intelligent and compare, not in a sense of a competition, an unhealthy competition. You can compare. Well, I don't know. I'm studying third degree, and he's in sixth degree. Well, of course, she has a stronger technique. Um, Perhaps she has a most beautiful sound, but well, I can effort, I can study, I can rehearse, I can practice, and probably be close to her. Um, mm, it is complicated, and it requires of being humble and intelligent, but you can learn from the bad things, from the bad experiences of other persons too. Oh my God! For example, well, he was singing in this way, and now he starts to having some problems. Well, maybe it's not the right way to sing like this. Well, I want to do that. You have to learn from everything, but be try to be confident on what you're doing. Love yourself, love your voice, love your sound, and be proud.
And yeah, right. And why don't we, as we're approaching to closing it, I would like to bring some joy to today's. And it is going to be, it is pretty much like the tarantelas that you may be familiar with. In this case, it is a zapateado, el zapateado de la tempranica, which I enjoy a lot. And at some point, you will notice that I will raise my hands. Let me turn on that camera. You will notice that I will put my hands like this. That means that you have to shout because the tarantula has already stung you. That's what it means in the music. So we go tarara tarara. Hi. When I do this, it means that you have to shout, to yell as if you had been stung. We have to do that 3 times at the end of the first part of the song, almost close to the end of the second part, and when wrapping up with the piano, that's the third time you have to do it. So I hope you are ready. I will try to be. Of course, you can also dance as well if you feel like it.
La taranta mi echa un malo, no se mata con piedra ni palo. Que Fuji se mete por todos los rincones y son marinas sus picazones. Ay, morena, sé que tengo que llevarse por la era y a principadito entrarme, hermana tembladera. ¿Será que a mí me ha picado la tarántula dañina y estoy enfermado por tu sangre tan entrina? Te coman los mengues, maldita la araña que tiene la barriga, pinta una guitarra, bailando se cura tan hondo dolor. ¡Ay! Maraña la araña que a mí me picó. No le temo a los rayos ni balas, ni le temo otra cosa más mala. Que he visto a mi padre más guapo que el gallo, pero ese bichito lo parta un rayo. Ay, madre, yo estoy malito, me está entrando unos sudores que me han dejadito seco y comido de picores. ¿Será que a mí me ha picado la tarántula dañina y por eso me he quedado más delgado que una sardina? Te comen una maldita araña que tiene la barriga, pinta una guitarra, bailando se cura tan con dolor. ¡Ay! Maraña la araña que a mí me picó.
No, no, no. I think you really didn't shout it. You have to say hi. Of course, a male voice saying hi is not as funny as when a woman does it. But this is a nice introduction, I think, to our last part of content, which is that your repertory preferences is what your compass says. If you notice, the mood of a person who sings something like this tarantella is someone who is very cheerful, who likes to dance, who likes to play, who likes to be running all over the stage, communicating with people, making them also or dance or shout or accompany somehow. Opposite to a repertory of opera when people are much more serious, transmit a number of emotions on the stage that are very different to this. So I think that when you're working on the repertoire and you say, but in my country, in the place where I live, there is not opportunity for this, you may need to move to another city or state in your country, and as many singers have done in the past, even leave your country to live somewhere else. That's something that you really need to consider seriously, but you have to do that on the base on what your compass is telling you. Your compass is telling you that you want to build a career and travel abroad, or you want to build a career locally. Which of the two is correct? Whatever you choose, because it is your compass. So if you, what you cannot do is that your compass would like to bring you to
Well,
stages
I
or
think that
places that you know
success
that are not in your country because you will be
depends
totally
on
frustrated.
each one of us.
So you have
It's
to, and
about
using also your
feel
emotional intelligence,
realized
see what it is
with
that you want to
what you're
do
doing with your life.
and
In
that
this
really
case, what you're
makes you
doing with
happy.
your voice.
I'm not sure, would you
Uh,
like to add something,
I,
Katia?
I don't have a problem with someone that feels realized singing in the church or singing for kids at their schools. They're loving it. Well, they're successful as much as somebody singing in La Scala de Milan. It depends on yourself. So love what you do, love to sing, enjoy it, and
That's
if
their
you
choice.
enjoy it, uh, it's for sure that the people listening you will be enjoying it too. I think that's the key. So there's not a big stage or a little one if you love what you do. That's what I'd say. No. That's
I really
if you're
love that
happy,
thing that you
people
said.
will feel it.
The stage is never that big, right? If you're happy with it, that's what fits you and that's what works and that's what is best. Exactly. So why don't we, as we are approaching, or we need to wrap up today's session? We've already taken an hour, but time counts, and in the sense that I hope you enjoyed the content that we wanted to share with you, the pieces that we prepared for you to be aware of how diverse can be singing, and we just touched six genders. You can do with your voice and with the repertory that you want, whatever you please, whatever makes you happy. You're happy with ranchera music, go for ranchera music. You're happy with religious music, go for religious music. Don't let anybody tell you you can't.
Think
And
of
to wrap up
me,
that beautiful
think
idea,
of me
why don't we close
fondly
up today's
when we
program
say
by listening to Katia sharing with
goodbye.
us one of the most
Remember
famous pieces of
me
music
every
from
so
the Phantom of the Opera.
often. Promise me you'll try on that day, that no so distant day, when you are far away and free. If you ever find a moment, spare a thought for me. Think of me waking silent and resigned. Imagine me trying too hard to put you from my mind. Think of me, please say you'll think of me. What